If you told yourself that this January was going to be different, and yet here you are already negotiating with yourself again, then this video is for you. Not because you lack discipline and not because you didn't want it badly enough, but because you may be trying to force a body and a season of life that's asking for something different now. And strangely enough, I learned this lesson this January from a pile of pine branches, of all things. So January is supposed to be motivating, right? I mean, it's supposed to be a fresh start, a clean slate, a new year, a new you. Am I right? But if you're watching this when I'm recording it, which is about 3 weeks into January, then there is a good chance that momentum that you felt a few weeks ago has already started to fade. Maybe the scale didn't move. Maybe your energy crashed. Or maybe life just simply got busy again. And I get it. If you're a woman over 40, then there's often something deeper underneath all of this, though. This doesn't just cause frustration, it causes confusion. Because when you're doing all the right things, but your body isn't responding the way that you want it to, the way that it used to, well, that creates a quiet erosion of self-trust. And that's something that most women don't talk about. And I get it. Who wants to talk about that? But the truth is, that's exactly where I found myself too. So today I want to tell you a story, not using proof and not using data and not trying to motivate you. This story is as much for me as it is for any of you that need to hear it. Because lately, I've been in a confusing place too, an uncertain place, and I'm trying to figure out some next steps on my path. And I'm wondering if I'm pushing in the wrong direction. And I've been questioning whether or not I should keep going or simply let go of some things. And if you're struggling with your body, with your health, or with your weight loss right now, you probably recognize some of those feelings. Not failure, but exhaustion from effort not being met with results. And here's something that I've learned working with women in midlife. You're not lazy and you're not inconsistent. And you're definitely not broken, but you've been trying to make strategies designed for a 25-year-old work in a hormonally completely different season of life. And when January doesn't deliver that fast proof, then something very specific happens. You don't quit, you lose trust in yourself. And that loss of trust is heavier than any number on the scale. So every morning, I walk my dog Louie through this beautiful, tiny little pine forest that's close to my house. And I love it there. It's quiet and grounding, and it's one of the few places on earth where my nervous system can actually let go and I can relax. And so in December, Christmas was approaching, and for some unknown reason, don't ask me why, I decided that I wanted to make my own outdoor evergreen urns. You know, the ones that you see at Costco and all the grocery stores. I didn't want to buy them. I wanted to make them. I don't know. Anyway, so I thought this was a great idea. I thought, why not gather the beautiful fallen branches in the forest that I walk through every day? I mean, I've seen evergreen branches in there a million times. It felt meaningful and intentional, something a little special. So I set that intention. And each morning I looked. I paid attention as I was walking through the woods, and I found nothing. I mean, nothing. There were branches on the ground, but they were old and brown and dried up and nothing that anyone would want. And there were beautiful ones, but they were literally 30 feet up in the trees, completely out of reach. But I persisted. So day after day, I walked through this beautiful forest full of evergreen, and I couldn't find what I needed. And that's exactly what weight loss feels like in midlife. You're surrounded by advice and plans and programs and information, but somehow none of it feels usable in your life for your body. Eventually, I stopped searching for the greenery and I bought it the old-fashioned way at Costco. had the urns and they were fine. Christmas came and Christmas went and life moved on. Things were busy and I took a couple weeks off and I wasn't going on my usual morning walks through the woods with Louie. But then after the holidays, I returned to my routine and I returned to those regular walks. And suddenly the forest floor was covered with the most beautiful evergreen branches I've ever seen. I mean, they were fresh, they were vibrant green, they were fragrant. Some even still had the pine cones attached, more of them than I could have ever used. Martha Stewart would have been proud. The exact thing I was looking for was everywhere. And that's when it clicked. Life speaks in metaphors. I had a vision. I set the intention and I showed up. I did the work. And yet, at first, all I found were dried up branches or things that were completely out of reach. So I stopped forcing. I paused. And when I did, there it was, more abundant, more aligned, and more beautiful than I could have ever planned. And this is what so many women experience with their bodies after 40. They try harder, they restrict more, they push through. But when hormones are shifting, stress is high, sleep is compromised, and the nervous system is overloaded, force backfires. Momentum doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from removing resistance hormonally, emotionally, and neurologically. And when those systems come back into alignment, results finally become possible again. And this is exactly what we do inside the metabolism and momentum reset. Not forcing results, but restoring momentum where it's been lost. It's for women who are done starting over and are ready to work with their body instead of against it. Most women don't need more rules. They need their metabolism, their nervous system, and their mindset back on the same team. Enrollment closes January 23rd. So if you're interested, I'll put a link in the description below so you can go and check it out. But if you're still here, I want you to know something. The women that change their bodies long-term aren't the ones who never doubt. They're the ones who don't abandon themselves during those quiet parts, even when nothing seems to be happening. And that matters more than you think. If this story found you at the right time, trust that too. So if you're still walking, even when things feel uncertain, know that life is still responding. Sometimes, though, the branches fall after you stop trying to force them.